She had learned where to go to get the physical experience, which turned out to be more like a scientific exploration, until she realized all she had to do was add Elie Archambault into the fantasy of whatever scene she was exploring, and she would manage to find excitement in it. "Baby, can't you sleep?" Elie stirred, his voice a little husky with sleep. He didn't remove his hand from her breast. Instead, his thumb brushed along the lower curve, instantly causing every nerve ending to flare back to total awareness when her body had just begun to settle down. The sound of his voice, that soft velvet mixing with the dark rasp of sleep, added to the intoxicating, addictive, and all too enthralling sensations pouring over her in the darkness. "My mind is all over the place." That was the truth. She hoped he didn't question her any further. She wasn't going to admit her body was on fire. She willed him to go to sleep. Didn't men just turn over and go to sleep? He shifted back, just his torso, keeping his hips and groin firmly pressed against her backside. His knee remained between her thighs. She should have been happy when he took his hand from her breast, but she wasn't. She found having him cup the weight of her in his hand was sexy. It didn't matter that her body was on fire just lying next to him. The feeling of her nipple pressed tightly into the center of his palm added to the flames burning between her legs, and she craved that feeling. His hands went to her shoulders, and he began a slow massage. His fingers were strong, digging into the knots of tension in her neck and shoulders. "Relax, Brielle, and just go back to sleep. Everything is going to be all right." His breath was warm against her ear as he leaned in to whisper to her. When he leaned close, his cock, hard and erect between the cheeks of her buttocks, jerked and pulsed. It was all she could do not to groan. His girth felt enormous, as if he was stretching the tender skin between her cheeks. She tried not to imagine what it would be like to have him inside her, stretching the walls of her sheath. The craving for him grew in spite of her determination to separate fantasy from reality, because right at this moment, reality was feeling dangerously close to her greatest fantasy. Listen to the sound of the lake, the way the waves hit the shore. Once more, his voice seemed to come out of the night. "It's really soothing. Can you hear it?" Brielle made an effort to hear past the thunder of blood in her ears. She pushed air through her lungs and made her body relax as she listened for the sounds he had pointed out to her. The lake. She knew his home was on a lake. He'd told her so as they drove into the large garage. He'd promised to show her the house and grounds in the morning. She was just too tired to take everything in. She knew he had boats and piers and docks and other things she knew little about, but that he said she would enjoy. The sounds of the waves lapping at the shore were soothing, rushing forward and receding, a rhythm that was peaceful there in the dark.